And it's a good morning and welcome back to the Gelding from the northwest, the far northwest of the world. Welcome back, Gelding. And
yes, Professor.
Into a much cooler climate.
Yes. Welcome to the listeners and to yourself, Professor. Yes, a return from Bali. So we've gone from the lovely temperatures of 28 degrees to Melbourne winter, but it's been fairly summery this week, Professor. So in Melbourne, so very interesting, and looking forward to a few events on Sunday, Professor. Surely we're going to have an interesting.
Yes, Gelding. Richmond, Melbourne, part 2 for the season.
Yes, you won part 1.
Yeah, so the usual Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes, I think that would be quite fair. Obviously, I'll be buying 2 bottles when we go for Chinese. So,
well, you got to be happy with their form from last week, Gelding. So far down, and then 5 goals to zip in the last quarter.
Good to turn on the phone when the plane lands, Professor, and find. I don't know how I would have been during the game.
That was quite exciting. I did watch the last quarter, Gelding. It was quite exciting.
Yeah, well, they played well, but I think Melbourne have had. I was talking to another Melbourne supporter last night in Morty Boy. Melbourne have had the edge on Richmond the last 3 years by about 3 or 4 goals. So,
well,
in a lot of those Anzac Eve games. So, let's see. Hopefully, I'll be barracking for Richmond, Professor, but more hoping than expecting.
All right, Gelding. Well, less hoping and more expecting today, I think, at Moonee Valley. It's a 9-race program. The first race is at 12:45. Now, there's my first question, Gelding. Racing has been starting at 11:50 a.m, midday 12:10. Why, during winter, have they gone to 12:45 p.m. start? Because the last race, you'll need the lights on at 5:40 p.m.
Well, Professor, they've increased the program. Yeah, you keep asking me these questions, Professor, to explain logic on race committees. Now, surely the word illogical, the meaning is look at what race committees do. Like, at just 12:45, like absolutely ridiculous during winter.
That's a summer starting time, Gelding.
It is July, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Gelding. We've just had the shortest day.
Yeah, New South Wales racing at Randwick. First race, 11:20. Last race of a 10-race program, 4:50.
Almost an hour earlier than Melbourne.
Yeah, Eagle Farm, right? Remember, they got more. Race 1, 11:28. 9-race program. Last race, 4:22. Right? We've still got 3 races after the last at Eagle Farm. Race 7, race. I thought it's anyway, Professor.
All right, the
less said on that, the better. Would have been quite logical. I would have thought that our first is 12 o'clock and the last is 4:55, isn't it?
That would have been my thoughts on it, Gelding, but obviously not the Moonee Valley Racing Clubs.
How come we seem to have this logic that everything stands out, but not to be?
Well, Gelding, I'd ask the question, what would we ever know?
Oh, Professor, you do make me laugh.
All right, Gelding. The feature race is race 7, the Travis Harrison Cup, a benchmark 100 over 1,600 metres. The track's a soft 5, the rail's out 5 metres. The forecast, 18 and mostly sunny with a 5% chance of rain. I don't think there's going to be much rain today, Gelding.
Looking out this morning, Professor, I'm looking out the window now. Beautiful blue skies around where we are in Caulfield South. But I don't know about you, out where you are, but it seems as if it's going to be a lovely day.
Yep. Blue sky here too, Gelding. So I think that might be how it goes for today. What are your 2 best bets for today's Moonee Valley races, Gelding?
Well, Professor, as I texted you last night and that, I went looking when doing the form for horses that have performed well at the Valley. It's one of those tracks. I think horses either like it or they don't, and they perform well there. So looking for horses that have performed extremely well previously at the Valley. My first bet, I've gone for race 5, number 5, Flash Flood, a Ma Eustace horse to be ridden by Christine Heffel, who I think is almost a leading apprentice at the moment, and her claim has dropped from the 3 kilo to, or 2 kilos to 1.5, Professor. This horse hopefully will carry only 51.5 kilos against some good horses in Milford, Keats and Bermazadad. So, and also Flash Feeling, only a small field, but well chosen. This horse, Professor, as I said previously, has won at Moonee Valley. It's had 17 starts for 6 wins. Professor, we like that, coming up to almost 400,000 in prize money. Won its last 2 at Caulfield and Sandown. Ma Eustace setting the horse up in class and distance, but nothing wrong with being with the leading stable, Professor, on a horse that sits in very good form. So my first bet of the day, of course, is Flash Flood, race 5, number 5. Second pick, Professor, is in the main race, the Travis Harrison Cup, race 7, number 10, Chief Eltoni, Professor. We've been on this horse before. Again, looking for Moonee Valley form. The horse has had 3 starts at the track for 3 seconds, Professor. Gets back in its races, so hopefully race 7 at 4:30 after the last at Eagle Farm. I hope they're running. I hope they're running on a bit, Professor. So hopefully it being ridden by Craig Williams, one of Victoria's leading jockeys. And as I said to you last night, this is a very special race for Craig Williams because it's named after his cousin Travis Harrison, who was tragically killed in a motor vehicle accident many years ago as an apprentice, Professor. So the Travis Harrison Cup, let's go for his cousin Craig Williams to win it on Chief Eltoni, Professor. And you like?
Yeah, Gelding, I'm going a bit earlier than race 7 because I want to be able to see the horses before it gets too dark. So
don't you like night racing?
I like night racing when it's actually night racing, Gelding. I don't like these twilight fixtures.
Beautiful. Well done.
5:40 at the Valley, Gelding. Too late to get home, especially where I live. Like it just takes all the fun out of going to the races.
Oh well, Professor, what time would you get home?
Oh, about 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you trust it? Yeah.
If V-Line's running, Gelding.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Professor, you're relying on a lot.
Yeah, I am. All right, let's go.
Don't get me started on the mess at Glen Huntley.
Oh, no, I won't start that, Gelding. No. All right, I'm going for race 3, the dominant 65 years handicap. It's a 3-year-old race, open class, 1,600 metres. And this one I like, horse number 7, Another Will, coming out of barrier 7. It's lightly raced, Gelding. It's only had the 2 starts for 1 win and a second, so it's got a 50% win rate, 100% place rate. I did like its last run at Moe 3 weeks ago. It won by 5 lengths, motoring away. So it's certainly got some class. It's a street boss, Gelding. Gelding?
Yes.
I had to pause there. It's a street boss, Gelding. And aside from Schnitzel, and what's the other horse?
Well, everyone's got to have a Seamus Award now, Professor. If you haven't won a Seamus Award, you've got to have a Schnitzel or a Zoo Star, don't you?
Yeah, or a street boss.
Or a street boss. Okay.
All right, Gelding.
Is that a street cry or a street boss?
Street boss.
Okay.
All right. So currently showing $2.50 and $1.35 fixed Gelding, so it's going to start favourite. I think if you wait a little bit longer, it might start a little bit longer odds than that.
Fairly impressive last start, Professor.
Very impressive. Matthew Cartwright in the saddle, Gelding. Mar Eustace trained horse. And a tip for punters, horse number 3, Elsie May, also trained by Mar Eustace, a very good horse. I'd be taking horse 3 and horse 7 in a Quinella.
A Quinella?
Yeah, I'd go for the Mar Eustace Quinella.
And you got the trifecta.
Sorry, Gelding, I missed that.
Throw the field in for 3rd and you got the trifecta.
Well, let's try that too.
Yeah.
All right, Gelding. And in race 6, the dominant brand protection handicap, that's a mouthful. A benchmark 78 race over 2,500 metres, Gelding. I like in this race horse 3. Now I'm just going to prepare myself to say this. Claddam Moore, coming out of barrier 3, had 19 starts for 6 wins and 3 placings, so it's got a 32% win rate, a 47% place rate. It beat what I think is probably a very good horse in this race, horse 2, Thorin. It beat it last month at Sandown and meets it at least 2 kilos better off today. Claddam Moore carried 63 kilos at Sandown, so it's running much lighter today. Carleen Heffel in the saddle, a very good apprentice, and also a trainer we don't mention very much on this program, Gelding, from Pakenham, one of the local trainers, Gemma Riley.
Yes, very good trainer, has very limited horses though, Professor, so yeah, knows what she's doing with a horse. How do you reckon they named the horse, Professor?
They threw the alphabet up in the air and that's where it landed. That's where the letters landed, Gelding.
Do you think it might be a place somewhere in Scotland or
Ireland or somewhere
Wales?
Almost certainly, Gelding.
Yeah.
Now, Gemma Riley's doing fairly well at the moment. She's got a 14% win rate, but in her last 50, 18% win rate. That's not a bad clip, Gelding, especially for somebody with only 7 horses that they're training.
Yeah, and that's the art, Professor, of putting your horses into races where when you haven't got a lot, you've got to put them in winnable races.
Exactly right, Gelding.
Yeah, I just wish another trainer was listening.
I don't think she'd be listening to this program, Gelding.
Well, might learn something.
All right, Gelding, let's turn the page. All right, my 2 best bets for the day, race 3, horse 7, another Will, and race 6, horse 3, Claddam Moore.
Claddam Moore, beautiful, Professor.
All right, let's turn the page to the Professor's Parlay, Gelding, and the very successful Professor's Parlay. Well, it went very well last week, Gelding. Varvia, our agreed bet, but one of your selections, a winner. Carlton beat West Coast and Penrith Panthers beat the Canterbury Bulldogs. The win parlay, Gelding paid $13.10.
Yep. Wow.
The place parlay paid $7.30, so we got $20.40 back for our $10 investment. We doubled our money.
100% return, Professor.
Yep.
Don't see that offered around too often.
No, you don't,
I would have said that Carlton and mauled West Coast and Penrith mauled your Canterbury, didn't they?
Well, Gelding, it just shows you that when you've got a $1.02 winner, if you bundle it up with a horse and another team, you're going to get some good return, even
you're
though
getting some good odds.
Exactly right, Gelding. So let's try and do that again today.
Yep.
The agreed best bet of the day at Moonee Valley is race 5, horse 5, Flash Flood.
I like it.
And let's parlay that into Geelong to beat Fremantle. Geelong playing down at Cardinia Park.
Cardinia Park.
They've nearly
GMHB, whatever stadium now, isn't it?
Cardinia Park, Gelding. It'll always be Cardinia Park.
I think it's Cardinia Park in the Melways that we've got, Professor.
Exactly, Gelding. Do you still use a Melways?
Hey? I think I've got edition 5 or something.
Nice. All right. All right. They need to win to remain in touch with the 8, Gelding. And they need to win if they want to play finals. Freo, very disappointing, Gelding.
What's happened there, Professor?
Well, the wheels fall off. They're now talking about 2024. And how good does Melbourne's trade for Luke Jackson look now that they've got Freo's number 1 pick in this year's draft?
What will that equate to, Professor?
It'll be probably about a pick 4, Gelding.
Pick 4. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah.
Well, Melbourne will probably finish top 4, yet they'll wind up with a pick 4.
Not bad. Not bad at all, Professor.
Yeah, so I think that's the end for Freo, and certainly that'll be the end of it at Cardinia Park today. Geelong currently showing $1.05, which I think's rather juicy odds, Gelding. I would have thought it'd be down $1.01, $1.02.
Well, I would have thought that Cardinia Park is one of the biggest home ground advantages going around. So they don't get beaten very often down at Cardinia Park.
No, and one stat that I always like to look at, Gelding, they might be 9th on the ladder, but they're 3rd in offence. They've kicked 1,692 points this year, which has put them 3rd after Brisbane and Collingwood. So they're not doing too badly, even though they're at 9th. They're just leaking a few points at the back, but I don't think Fremantle will be able to kick a winning score against them today.
No, I can't see Freo with that forward line kicking a winning score.
No, and let's parlay that into a very good form team at the moment. 1-4 out of their last 5. They're playing not at home, but they're still playing in their own state. Brisbane to beat the Gold Coast.
I like it, Professor.
Brisbane currently showing $1.33, Gelding, so some really nice value there for punters.
I'm with you, Professor. Gold Coast are one of those sides up and down. We don't know which one you're going to get, do you? Is there a good one and a bad one?
No, you don't. And Brisbane's got the number 1 offence, and they'll certainly kick a few points today. Gold Coast, the number 14th ranked offence. I don't think they're going to have the firepower to stay with Brisbane. And Brisbane want to make sure that they can at least stay in the top 4, but try and get to the top 2 with Port Adelaide with some tough games. So for the Q clash, as it's called, Gelding, because I had to come up with a name for it.
Yes.
Brisbane to beat the Gold Coast. So the Professor's parlay, flash flood into Geelong to beat Fremantle, into Brisbane to beat the Gold Coast.
I like it. And juicy odds there, Professor.
I'll say Gelding, very juicy odds. 4-1 on the win parlay, 5-2 on the place parlay.
Now, Professor, I'm going to ask you a leading question on the Professor's parlay. So just tell everyone how good it's been the last, let's say 10 or 15 tries. Where are we, say, since May this year?
Yep.
Where's the Professor parlays now? Normally,
we're running at 80%, Gelding.
In winning bets, you're looking to win, say, a third of your bets, to kind of be on a break-even type thing. Where would the Professor's parlay sit percentage-wise, Professor?
We're running at 80%, Gelding.
Oh, just 8 out of every 10 bets win.
Exactly right, Gelding, at the moment, yes. And that's been like that for a while.
Just put that right hand up, Professor. Bend it at the elbow and pat yourself on the back.
Well, if people aren't on the Professor's parlay, you'd just wonder why, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, we keep saying that to people, and we keep expecting to hear rustle of brown paper bags, but they seem to come up with a lot of excuses, some of our followers, Professor.
Well, we might have to put this on a subscription service, Gelding, so that we get our money some way.
That sounds to be discussed over Chinese when I have to buy the 2 bottles of wine.
Well, we'll see about that, Gelding. All right, Gelding. Very good today. Until next Saturday, and that's racing. It's good luck.